The title sounds really clickbaity, but it's really not. Exactly 5 years ago today, on March 13th, 2020, a Friday the 13th, the world shut down for COVID. I guess I should clarify that this was the date when my world shut down because it was a little location dependent. But besides the few outliers, it really was this day, give or take maybe a week or two. I found myself sitting and trying to process everything, but then it just seemed like the more I tried to process, the more like a fever dream it felt. There is just so much to unpack here. I remember that it was this date specifically, not only because it was a Friday the 13th, and that to me was just so funny, but also because of just the timing of everything. Let me set the scene here. It was the last week before spring break of my sophomore year of high school. I was 16. News was definitely picking up speed about how this was spreading. It was still, though, kind of like a joke almost. Like, people were making memes. People were being like, ha ha ha, corona. It was definitely still like, okay, it's a thing, but whatever. And then this Friday the 13th came, and I was in my biology class. My science teacher was kind of going through it, and he wasn't trying to scare us by any means, but he was just kind of educating us about what was going on, right? We got out of school that day, and we got an email from our high school saying that we were going to go on an extended spring break in response to everything. So we were going to go back in 2 weeks instead of 1. All the teachers said, "See you after spring break." And most of us never saw them again. I literally dug through my mom's emails and found this. It was like a time machine. It just sparked so many small, weird memories. It was kind of crazy. And obviously I got those emails too as a student. And I remember reading them, thinking to myself, we're not going back. It's going to be bigger than this. And apparently, I'm learning now, 5 years later, that I was the only one that thought that. Apparently, everyone truly thought it was just going to be an extended spring break. And then, naturally, they were like, oh, this is actually kind of nice. A longer break from school. I was like, no, 2 weeks is not going to cut it. And I don't know why I had that gut instinct, but I just did. Sure enough, the 2 weeks turned to a month, turned into the entire year, which then bled into the following academic year. So now here we are. I think a big reason why my brain just doesn't seem to grasp any of this fully is because it feels like yesterday, but also forever ago at the same time. Since all of this, I feel like I just have no concept of time. And I know I'm not alone in that. I was sitting here and I found myself wondering, how much have I forgotten? Just generally speaking, we have no idea how much we've forgotten. I just wonder how much of pre-C19 life that if someone were to remind me of it now, I'd be like, oh yeah. Let's just say 2020, a wild year is an understatement. People will be saying that they miss 2020 because the lockdown and everything was kind of fun. Not gonna lie. Let's just say I can't relate whatsoever, but not judging, okay? I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a really loud airplane. For lack of better words, there's kind of residue, if you will. Many small little things in life that are never totally the same as they were pre-C19. Sorry, I keep censoring this because, like I said, I don't know how YouTube is going to react these days. So how has it affected me during the height of it all? Some other really hard things happened in my life, and I was borderline not in school because of some really hard things that were going on. Let's just say I did less than the bare minimum, and if it weren't for a specific staff member in my school who helped me through it all, they're the only reason I passed my junior year of high school. When I actually think about it, looking back, I was really, really, really blessed to be in the position I was in financially, my family and I, because we had nothing to really worry about in that regard. It's kind of weird. It's one of those things where I just know the world has changed so much, but yet it's hard to think of specific examples, Besides the fact that I just have no concept of time, I swear. I also feel like socially we've changed. More things are online, especially since a lot of people were quarantining during formative years. A lot of people feel like maybe they have some deficits socially. I definitely felt that for a little while. This take is kind of dark, not gonna lie, but I also just feel like in general, post shutdown world, there's just more problems in the world, or I guess there are definitely new problems that have emerged in our post shutdown world. But I think a lot of them were always there, but they were just suppressed and people just kind of dealt with it. And then in a unexpected way, in my opinion, when those problems were brought to light, like during shutdown, people just weren't willing to put up with it. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think you get what I mean. I noticed this specifically in workplaces. Not gonna lie, I wish I had a job pre-shutdown because I've heard from a lot of people that a lot of workplaces changed. I got my first job right after shutdown, so I never really experienced a pre-C19 workplace. And I kind of wish I did. I feel like also in the US, we're much more divided politically, and I feel like we're generally less trusting of people. I don't know. It's just crazy that, like, there was a time where all of us were walking around with, like, masks on. Like, it's just crazy that, and, like, social distancing. Anyways, I just found myself thinking about how much has changed. And how much time has passed, too. Like, half a decade has passed since everything. Like, what? I feel like there's really not much else I want to say. I feel like this just had to be said. Thanks for being my paper today. That's it for entry number 4. Keep living your best lives, guys.